God designated Samuel as Israel's judge. At Mizpah, he gathered the entire population of Israel and prayed for them. In order for God to deliver Israel from the Philistines, who continued encroaching on their territory, he advised them to get rid of all false gods and make a commitment to him, so the populace confessed their sins and returned to God. The Philistines attacked the Israelites while Samuel was making sacrifices, but they were overcome by the Israelites. But as Samuel grew older, the people became restless and demanded that they rather be ruled by a king, just like the other nations. Have you rejected the Lord as your king? Samuel told them, a human king will be an egotistical leader who favors a small number of people while hurting the interests of the many. You will scream for freedom from such oppression. However, the Israelites insisted and made having a king their top priority. Do as they say. The Lord told Samuel, for I am the one they are rejecting, not you. They don't want me to be their king any longer. Now there was a man, from the tribe of Benjamin, called Saul, who was a whole head taller than anyone else. When his father's donkeys went missing, he set out with his servant to search for them. When they could not find them, Saul's servant suggested they go to the nearby town where Samuel lived, to ask for his help. As they entered the town, they saw Samuel coming towards them while he was going up to the high place. Now the Lord had told Samuel that he would send him a man from the tribe of Benjamin to anoint as the first king of Israel. The Lord informed Samuel that Saul would be in charge of his people, and as soon as Samuel caught sight of him, he knew. Samuel instructed Saul to go ahead of him to the high place. He then told him, "Today you are to eat with me, and I will send you on your way in the morning. The missing donkeys have been located, so there's no need to panic." Samuel brought Saul and his servant into a hall and seated them at the head of a table of 30 guests. Later he spoke with Saul on the roof of his house. The next day Samuel took a flask of olive oil and poured it on Saul's head. "The Lord has anointed you ruler over Israel," he declared. Later the newly crowned king Saul led an army to rescue the people of Jabesh-Gilead who were being besieged by invading Amorites. Saul separated his men into 3 divisions. During the last watch of the night, they broke into the camp of the Ammonites and slaughtered them in the heat of the day. The people went to Gilgal and made Saul king in the presence of the Lord. They sacrificed offerings before the Lord, and Saul and all the Israelites held a great celebration. Saul was now in control. Soon after, a Philistine army assembled to fight Israel. Saul assembled his army at Gilgal. They were quaking with fear. Samuel promised to be at Gilgal within 7 days to make offerings to God for victory. But as time passed, the troops became more afraid and some started deserting, and Saul panicked and didn't want to wait any longer. Frustrated at waiting for Samuel, Saul decided to make the offerings himself. Just as he finished making the offering, Samuel arrived. "You have done a foolish thing. You have disobeyed God by making these offerings. If you obeyed, he would have established your kingdom over Israel for all time. Now your kingdom will come to an end and God will appoint a new king to take over for you." Many battles later, Samuel had a message for Saul. The Lord says, "You are to totally destroy the wicked Amalekites and not spare any of them or their cattle." Saul gathered a large army and set an ambush in the ravine near Amalek. They were victorious, but instead of destroying their enemies and cattle, Saul decided to spare the Amalekite king, Agag, and keep the best sheep and cattle as plunder. When God saw Saul's disobedience, he said, "I regret that I have made Saul king, because he has turned away from me and has not carried out my instructions." Samuel was angry, and he cried out to the Lord all that night. The next day Samuel traveled to confront Saul. "The Lord anointed you king and sent you on a mission to completely destroy those wicked people, the Amalekites. Why did you disobey the Lord? Why did you plunder their cattle?" As Samuel turned to leave, Saul caught hold of the hem of his robe, and it tore. Samuel said to him, "The Lord has torn the kingdom of Israel from you today and has given it to one that will be better than you." Samuel later anointed David as the next king of Israel. David became king after King Saul was killed in battle. Just as God had warned, Saul's dynasty came to an end and King David became God's choice as ruler.